All right, hello YouTubers. Talk about the Pit Boss today, and I got the 700S model. I think they call it the PB. It's the older model. There's a newer version to this, just to make sure here. I think it's called the PS or PF 700. But anyway, I've had this for almost a year. I'm pretty sure it was December. Now, at first when they get it, they tell you to turn it on, burn off any residual oils in the grill, you know, for about 35, 45 minutes and all that. You know, well, I did all that. And, you know, been using it ever since. And I've used a lot. And I'm going to do another video about pellets because I think I've tried every pellet in my area that we can buy. But get back to the grill and cleaning. Now, you know, mine's under a porch. You can see I'm under a roof. It's never been out in the weather. And with mine, I just want to go over a couple of things that I did and then what any little troubleshoots I've had. So, in Pit Boss, I want to say right off the bat, Pit Boss grills I've called, and I kind of believe it was the same woman I talked to back at the first of the year when I had the first issue I had. And it's really nice. They're super nice, and told me do not hesitate to call them back if I have another issue. Now, my first thing, we determined, I did all the little walkthroughs, and when I talked to the person the first time, this was back, I think, in April, on the thermostat and your control here, we determined that we had a faulty control here because it was not holding, going to temperatures like it should, like under smoke. Like in smoke, it's supposed to run anywhere from 150 to 175 or so degrees. And I was running at 225 all the time, and that was right out of the box, right out of the bat. So then we tried a different thing or two. We was making sure, had good pellets. That's another thing. That's why I'll do a video about pellets. But everything was fine, but we determined we had a faulty controller here, and it wasn't the thermostat inside at the heat element or whatever they call it. And Pit Boss sent me out another. Took this one out, wasn't hard at all, popped this one in, and good to go. Not a problem. Now, around summertime, the middle of this summer, I started noticing, I'm getting a lot of rust. And especially on this plate here, and it's got a thin spot. I've cleaned this. Last night, I soaked this in a wheelbarrow in vinegar and water overnight, because the rust was so heavy. And I've got a thin spot, it's this side. It's right in here. It's kind of, I don't want to mash on it much because I don't want it to go through, and I'm going to use it again today. And Pit Boss is sending me out this plate here. It's the center plate that you put in between here to open to sear if you want to. And I don't use it as a sear. I use it mainly just for smoking. I got it to do my bacon on it. It was more consistent than doing it on my homemade smoker. To do bacon on here to keep in temperatures, and I got done. It was a lot easier, just got it done a lot faster, and just made my bacon so much better. So anyway, back to this. I called Pit Boss yesterday. The lady said they've done some updates and something in the system, so that she had to actually put me back in the system. So they done some updates and things, some changes with them, and so if y'all, just a heads up, if you have to call and you've had a issue or something, you had to call them in the past, they'll probably have to put you back in the system. But anyway, the lady got me back in the system, and this plate, they're sending me out this plate. Now, last night I went ahead, I soaked them in vinegar and water, as I said earlier, and this bottom plate too. On the ends here, because I've never moved the sear, I don't never use it for sear. If I grill on my other one. This, to me, my opinion, yes, you can do that with it, but it's not for actually grilling a lot. Like if you're doing burgers, in my opinion, I just use my good old smoker over there and grill them up, be done in 20 minutes, after I get it going, and perfect. But this thing works perfect for any other needs, smoking, slow cooking, and I've cooked a lot on this. And but they're going to send me this plate. Now, she said if I actually found a spot, they told me to take some light sandpaper, clean that off, and season it. Now, it doesn't recommend. Now, I thought about this when we first got it. Should I season that? Because it's just steel, and it's not a cast iron or nothing, and so. But I didn't do it, and I noticed around summertime I was getting rust. So when I take the plate out and I'd clean it, I was scraping off layers of rust, as you can see where I've had pits now from where I've scraped off and just had to clean it off, and especially on this plate down here. Now this one was fine. It wasn't as bad as this center plate, but the ends on here were like that. So what I done last night, like I said, I told you I soaked it in vinegar and water. It took a lot of that rust off. I washed it today, dried it down real good, and I seasoned this. Now I'm gonna cut this thing on here in a minute. I'm gonna cut it on. I'm gonna run it up to I'm gonna cut it up to about 350, and I'm gonna let it run for about an hour, just like if you got. And I do. And the lady asked me if I use cast iron skillets, and I said yes, I do. That's all we use in the house. And so, and that's what I did. And I come out here now, being this is my smoker. And my cast iron skillets, I use a flaxseed oil. I used to use just old lard, but I found flaxseed oil. I realized that you don't have, if you got a skillet that you haven't used in a little bit, and it sets up, that grease in there can go rancid on you, or lard or grease, whatever you're using. And so I found flaxseed oil works excellent. So, and that was something I learned from another gentleman, an older gentleman that's on a video that's out west, and that's all he cooks on. So these cast iron, tells you how to take care of them. I think they even sell them. He's got a farm. So anyway, this, instead of using flaxseed oil, being it was a still, I just use, because I don't never pour my bacon grease down a drain or nothing. I always pour it out in a jar and throw it out. I used bacon grease. I had some lard in there. I could have used it, but I used that good bacon grease to go ahead and season it, because that stuff will have that's that flavor. You want that meaty flavor in here, and a lot of things you're cooking most of the time is a pork. So I season these backside and front side with pork. Now I'm going to leave it off the sear down here. I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to leave this off of that, so this whole it can season properly, and put it up there, leave it on that top rack. And as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and turn it on. Let me turn this around. And we'll go ahead and turn it on. And, yeah, got plenty of pellets. And, oh, and that's something else. You see what I did here? I like the pellets, you know, how they go down in the hopper. They'll have this hole in the back sometimes. And I like to be able to stir up the pellets. So I took my 2 screws out right here so I can raise this up and stir my pellets up or whatever, or if I need to clean or whatever, it just makes it easier. It's no big deal, left the 2 in the back, and I like it better like that. So I wish they'd kindly done that where you had access to this hopper. I know they did this for safety reasons, so you don't stick your hand in the auger. But I kindly wish they'd have made this where you could have opened that up. But I hadn't seen some of the newer models yet, but a tower. But other than that, it's fine. That's no big deal. I did that to mine just for that reason. Like I say, it's worked excellent. I've loved the thing. And Pit Boss, they said, don't hesitate to call me back. So if I had a problem with this bottom shield, I don't think I'm going to have a problem with that one. But from now on, though, I mean, and I keep it clean. And I just want to say, too, before it starts smoking here and gets going, your element in here, I've seen a lot of people on here showing videos and they're using a scouring pad on this. Now, I've had no problem. A little bit of residue is fine. It's not going to hurt nothing. But I've had no problem with just a regular soapy water washcloth, cleaning that off, and get my finger down there with that. It cleans right off. And like I said, I keep mine clean, you know, and I don't use, I use pans a lot of time when I'm doing barbecue and stuff. Other than ribs, I'll put them on, and then when I get them where I want them, I wrap them. But this right here, I do not suggest, where I've seen other people using them green scours on here. Do not do that. That is a thin wall deal, and eventually you're going to scratch it. You're going to get a hole in that if you're not careful. And then you're going to be having a problem with that. You're going to be calling, wondering why, and maybe it's already out of your warranty. Then you're going to have to buy that. So, you know, just a heads up, you know, I mean, just personal preference. Don't clean that with a scour. It's regular washcloth. That's all I've ever done, not a problem. I even do my thermos, which you can see right here, and I just used it yesterday when I called the lady. I was doing bacon, and I mean, I keep this probe clean. That's just for ambient, but it still works good. Two, I've seen people, they put tinfoil down here to help kindly for clean, to keep it clean. Personally, I wouldn't do that. And, but that's fine too. And then I've seen people, they've had these lids down, they come out, turn these on, left these lids down. Now see, I burn wood in the house for heat. And a lot of people got to understand, wood gives off a gas. And they'll leave these lids down, then they wonder why they've seen these things explode or pop or whatever you want to call them. When that igniter gets that wood ignited, gets them pellets going, and if there's gases built up, that's what's going to happen. And that's why you leave that lid up until this thing gets going. So I've seen a couple of videos on that, and people didn't understand why I did that, but that's why. So, I mean, I have that. You have the backflash in your home, which sometimes you can get some backdraft or something, and if you got a lot of gases build up in your stove, you'll usually have to open your damper up to get some more oxygen going in, so it'll suck that up and take it right on out the pipe. But anyway, I just want to do this video on mine about how the deal with the rust. I know a lot of people talk about that rust, and they have rust. You know, that's just a fact. Well, if you season this, which I'm going to do it from now on, I'm probably about twice a year, because I think once I do this first time now, since I got all that rust off the bottom plate. Now, I did season underside, the undersides and the tops too, not just the top, the bottom too. And it's not going to hurt anything. You ain't going to have no fire. Don't just pour it on there where it's dripping everywhere. Take you a paper towel, wipe it on, you know, or a cloth. Wipe it on there, you know, generously, coat everything really good. Put it back in there, even if you're just using vegetable oil. Now, see, I keep, like I said, I even do my other smoker with a bacon grease. And what I do is I pour it out of that jar and into a spray bottle, and I spray it on in there when I do that one. It's just easy. Spray it everywhere, get my racks and all good and everything else. These, you got the ceramic racks, so you don't really have to do that. But, yep, just a thumbs up, a heads up on that about, you know, your shields in here. Just remember that. Seasoning, first thing, and after you do your initial burn off on these grills when you get one, you know, do whatever they say out of the box recommendations, and then take them plates out, whatever's you've got. I've seen some of the bigger pit balls, which I thought was really nice, the longer ones. Take that pan out. Season that real good with some oil, some good vegetable oil, some lard, bacon grease. Like I said, I use the bacon grease. Always works really well. And so do it with that or something, and let it, you know, get it up to 350, 400 degrees is fine, and do it for about an hour, just like if you was doing a cast iron skillet in your oven, you know. So, but there you go. I just want to give you my take on the Pit Boss. And the little issues I had, and like I said about the rust, that was my main issue, the main deal doing this video, just to give everybody a heads up of what to do. Because in my book, it doesn't say, my manual as far as maintenance and care does not tell you to season them plates. Now, I even, like I said, I thought about this. I didn't do it. In about June, July this year, I realized I'm gonna have a problem here. And by next year, this would probably already been burnt through, and I'd probably have that one burning through with a hole. So, just to let you know. So, yeah. But there you go. And other than that, working good. And I'm going to let this season here, and then this evening, I'm going to barbecue some chicken. So, thanks for looking.